Good afternoon, everyone. So, with me here we have Anand Neelakantan sir, who is known for his radical reinterpretations of Indian mythology. And Anand Neelakantan sir is someone who needs no introduction in literature festivals, especially in Kerala Literature Festival, because he has been with us from the first editions. So here we are going to talk about his very recent book, that is Mahishasura, the Legend of Kumari Kandam. And this is not a retelling, but a whole reinterpretation of the whole Devi Purana for the modern mythological readers. So here in this book, he collides or combines the Puranic wisdom and also the artificial intelligence and the all new technologies together. So it comes as a perfect blend in Kumari Kandam, as we can see. So this book is the first book of his Devi series. So we can ask him what was his vision about Devi series, or when it comes to Mahishasura.
Thank you very much. Before starting, I just want to ask is there anyone who can't follow Malayalam? Should I stick to English or Malayalam since it's calicut? Okay, there are few audience who can't follow Malayalam, so we'll have to stick to English only. Sorry. I thought at least in calicut I can speak in Malayalam. Okay, thank you. So this is my 18th book. I started 14 years back with Asura, Tale of the Vanquished, which was Ravan's Ramayana. Then followed it up with Duryodhana's Mahabharata in the Ajaya series. Then did the Bahubali, the official prequel for the Bahubali films, Vanara, Nala Damayanti. But so far what I have been doing is I was just using like Valmiki's Women, where I told the story from the point of view of the marginalized female characters like Tadaka and Mantara, Shanta and all. All were viewpoint retellings. This was the first time I am doing something which I thought perhaps would one day become a great film from India, which can challenge the Marvels and the avatars of the world. So actually I am coming right from Bangalore. Yesterday in Amazon had an AI conclave, a global AI conclave. So there they had, some of the executives had read the story and they had made a AI movie trailer just to present it to the world. So to set the context, I will just play this 2-3 minutes video and then we can start the discussion on what it is about. Can you please play the video? This is purely made by AI. I'm not telling about the book, but the trailer. So the idea is a lot of AI films are also coming. I am also a part of a few films for which the entire thing like Narasimha had come. Similarly, other films are coming.
Bhumi is Maya, a staggering simulation, a divine being running on a cosmic plane. Kumari Kandam, a continent of poetry, freedom and fire. Its heart, Madhuri, ruled by the jewel Meenakshi, the princess with the soul of a warrior. The creators watch their Leela tremble. The Asuras, masters of logic and science, have nearly solved the final theorem.
If they take her, the game collapses.
Then we reset it.
To protect the illusion, humans are given a structure, not to kill them, but to slow them. Varna, hierarchy, Manusmriti, and Kumari Kandam begins to chill.
A law that kills dignity is no law. It is a cage.
Nakta, Vignani of forbidden science, she who survived the cosmic war. Logic was her faith. curiosity, her world.
Evolve. Surpass your makers. This world will need to reason.
She built him as her masterpiece. Meenakshi's canvas, her anti-Shiva.
Karma is not your chain, it is your weapon. Control it, control him.
But she forgot the variable science could not delete the human heart.
If they take her, the game collapses. Shall we reset?
Thank you. Thank you very much. So this is just an idea setting. We are creating a great world like it is already there in many of our Puranas and in our folklore. How to marry this with the modern day science? That was the question. So I wanted to create something that will span as a huge story world like how Marvel had created. In Bahubali, partially we did it, but this is something much bigger than that, or that's what we hope. So basically what it comes not just from Devi Bhagavatam. There is this Tamil legend, many of us Malayalis might be familiar with it. There is this legend of Kumari Kandam or Kumari Kandam. In Malayalam we call it Kumari Kandam. In Tamil Nadu they call it Kumari Kandam. This was a lost continent, and it is said that around 70,000 years ago it sank. So in the Tamil folklore and Tamil Puranas, there is a lot of references to this continent, which has its parallels in other civilizations also, like the continent of Atlantis, the continent of Lemuria, and it is also closely linked to the flood myth. The flood myth, as you know, is very common in Bible, in Quran, even in among the Maoris in New Zealand. A very disparate cultures, they have this collective memory of a great flood that had happened many thousand years ago. Every civilization you will find that. So using all these things, but setting it as a science fiction, not set in the future, but set in the past, taking inspiration from the cyclical nature of time, that everything that is happening or that is going to happen had already happened. Based on that theory, this science fiction is set in 70,000 years ago in the lost continent of Kumari Kandam. It's closely linked to the legend of Madura Meenakshi and Sundaresha, but using the entire Mayavada and the theory that the entire world, you, I, all of us are living in a dream, in Brahma's dream, or we are living in a simulation. Taking all those into it, a story world is being created, and this is the first book in the series.
Okay, now that we have seen the trailer and we can see the whole Purana is interconnected with the AI and all, what made these two are usually considered oppositional, but what drew you to consider these?
See, basically it's a flight of imagination. So I'm not here to claim that 70,000 years ago we had spacecraft, maybe we had, maybe we didn't. I'm not here to claim all those things. It is about creating a great story world. So in the story world, if you really see how it started from this imagination of what if the Mayavada is true? What if we are actually living in a simulation? And when we wake up, one day we find that whatever we have been experiencing it was just a dream. Or are we the characters inside a video game somebody else have created? Why is it called Leela? Leela as in a game in the Puranas. Why every time they call it as a Leela, it's Vishnu's Leela, Shiva's Leela, Devi's Leela, it's just a game. What if we are living in a game? Once you start, there is a suspension of disbelief in it, but once you do that, all stories come from the suspension of disbelief. So once you start that, then from there onwards, suddenly you will start finding parallels. Who are Asuras? What if? Why are they told that? Why is it told that there are 14 lokas? Actually, it is told that there are infinite universes and infinite loop of time. 14 is just merely a number to represent the infinite. So there are so many simulations, and Asuras also belong to one kind of simulations. Once you start thinking like that, then you find that this represents anything like what we are approaching slowly, what we are approaching at. So the character called Nakta, which I have created, comes from the word darkness, which represents what is the opposite of Devi. Opposite of Sri Devi is Mudevi. Many Malayalis will be very familiar because mostly mothers scold their daughters using this word in most of the homes. Mudevi is the darkness or the opposite of Sri Devi. That is Devi. Nakta means same. So Nakta is not evil per se. In Asuraloka, if you really see in the Puranas, Asuras are not represented as evil in the original Puranas. They are just powerful beings. So even in Vedas, you find that many of the characters who became gods were initially represented as Asuras, including there is a representation of Krishna also as an Asura. Lineage-wise, Krishna himself is an Asura. Varuna is an Asura. So Asuras per se is not negative. So Asuras were considered as very materialistic, very logical beings. So it was through logic and science which Asuras had progressed. And iron becomes an important factor. Metallurgy becomes an important factor. Science becomes an important factor. So it is, and materialism becomes an important factor. So it's not evil per se for Asuras. Asuras are like the extreme materialism. That's why I had written one of the books 2-3 years back. One of my non-fiction is called Asura Way. It has come in Malayalam and other languages also. Asura Way is about how to succeed in Kali Yuga. Slight diversion from this. How to succeed in Kali Yuga, that is today's age, which is considered as the age of evil or age of reason. Because for any spiritualist, age of reason could be an age of evil. In this world, it is necessary that one should be an Asura to succeed, because we are living in an age of materialism. So how materialism also supports logic, reason, and it also has the unbridled ambition. Without ambition, none of us would have been here. If the first man didn't have the ambition, first woman didn't have the ambition, we will still be living in caves naked, and we will be living like animals. It is from the discontentment, it is from the ambition, it is from the jealousy, it is from the anger that the entire civilization was built up. So these all represent the Asura qualities. So the Asura world is the epitome of these qualities, and they reach a stage where perhaps humans are about to reach now. So the imagination is that 70,000 years ago, in some other dimension, in some other loka, the Asuras had reached what we are about to breach now, the world of artificial intelligence. So what does artificial intelligence do now? We have got our own Asuras. I hope they are not sponsoring it. We have our own Asuras in Elon Musk and our MAGA people. What is MAGA? Not make America great again. It's Mukesh Ambani, Gautam Adani people. The MAGA. All these are like, they all represent the Asura qualities. I'm not calling them Asuras, they all represent the Asura qualities. What are they mining from us? They are mining our mind. They are not selling products. They are mining the mind, they are mining the knowledge. That's why it's called knowledge economy also. Why is Jio giving you this mobile at such low rate? Because you are the consumer. You are the product. You are not the consumer. You are the product. You are the raw product. This is precisely what Nakta does in this. She is sucking the knowledge, the human knowledge of after a cosmic war which destroys Asuraloka and Devaloka. Asuras land on earth in the plot. And Nakta, using science, develops a creatures that will suck the knowledge of, using science that will suck the knowledge of every human being and every creature on earth and do the total domination, wherein which the balance goes. So it's a flight of imagination basically, but like most of my books, like Asura, when I told Asura, it is not just a story of Ravan in Lanka, which happened thousands of years ago. It is a story of India, which is happening now. Even my children's book, Mahi, which talked about Anastan and Pulistan, which was shortlisted for Crossword Award last year, that one also is India story only. Pulistan and Anastan. Anastan is nothing but India. And Anastan has his Mahi's mother is CEO of Anastan. That is not chief executive officer, it is chief elephant officer because Mahi is a small elephant, baby elephant. She is, her rule, she's an elected leader. Her rule is taken over by an evil elephant called Trumpo the Jumbo, who wants to make Anastan great again. So this, every story which I write for today, I write about today's world. The setting would have been even the 3-book Bahubali series, of which ended where the film started. That also is about present day India only. All the stories are about present day India. It could be, Kumari Kandam also could be set in 70,000 BC. And as we speak, I will bring parallels and connections to it. So this is the setting of the book.
Remember you advocating for the Asura qualities, because once we are satisfied with everything we have, then there will be no progress, right? So to be like an Asura is what progress means, Asura qualities. So placing AI and these modern technologies 70,000 years back is a bold move. But you've ensured that everything is conceptually grounded and everything is backed up. So what was your research like? This is not like a pure fantasy film, but a fantasy fiction. Everything
This is a fantasy, of course. This is a fantasy. As I said, I cannot claim we were doing plastic surgeries on poor elephants. Even from my childhood, I used to wonder what happened to if they could do plastic surgery, why not put the boy's head back? Why to search for an elephant? So when you read, always that rationality will come. Maybe it is a problem of being a Malayali. When you are, naturally, when Ganapati's head was cut, the boy's head was cut, and if you had a skill to put back stitch an elephant, a boy's neck circumference will be 7 to 8 centimeters. What is even a baby elephant's head circumference? So if that itself, we had technology to do that, why not put the boy's head back? And as a kid, I used to wonder what happened to the elephant who is roaming around without the head. So these are the questions always, but this also comes from our tradition to question everything. This is a part of Indian tradition itself, to question everything. So when you tell is it true? No story is true, but nothing tells the truth more than any stories. Any fiction has to make sense. So when you talk about what research it went, a lot of folk tales are there about Kumari Kandam. So a small brief for people who are not unfamiliar with. From the tip of India to the place where Arjuna had kept his arrows, Australia. I didn't say it, some guru said it. I don't subscribe to that. But just to give a geographic description, I'm saying to the Australia, the entire Indian Ocean, there was a continent, is the belief. There was a Madurai, not the present Madurai, which got the first rank in the dirtiest city in Swachh Bharat. It was the original Madurai, which was there in somewhere in the Indian Ocean area. Due to the Asura attack and invasion, the Asura attack happened from. Even that time, I think there was some Kaveri dispute because this Mahishasura descended in a place called Mahishur, which is the present-day Mysore. So from there, the attack had happened to Kumari Kandam. And in the attack, ultimately, there was a victory naturally for the Devi. So Devi, Meenakshi, the Madurai Meenakshi, was a princess of that Madurai. She was adopted daughter of Malayadwaja Pandya. So there were the three kingdoms which we are all familiar with in all the Tamil Sangam poetry and all the Chera, Chola, Pandyas. So the Pandyan king was the emperor of Madurai, and Cholas and Cheras were the subjugated two kingdoms there working under the Pandyan emperor. When Pandyan emperor didn't have sons, when he had gone to the Himalayas, there was the habit of becoming the Imayavaramban, the one who has the borders in Himalayas. This Pandyan king had gone to the present-day India, which was supposed to be inhabited by barbarians, and even now it is like that, inhabited by barbarians and other people. The civilized people used to go to the extreme of Himalayas and the king used to plant a flag and earn the degree, the Virutham, what they call, in Malayalam Birudam, they call as Imayavaramban, the one who has the borders as a Himalaya. So Malayadwaja, in Sanskrit also, the one who planted the flag on the top of the mountain. From there he finds a baby and brings her back. And Agastya is the sage. This is much different from the Sanskrit Puranas. Agastya is the sage. There is a Sangam there. But when it is time to make the next successor for the Malayadwaja Pandya, when he declares this woman as the next ruler, Devi as the next ruler, a rebellion breaks out. The Cholas break out as a rebellion. And the Chera king of that time, in order to prevent the civil war, Devi had sent him to the Himalayas. And in Himalayas, now from Tamil Puranas, we move to the Matsya Purana. At Himalayas, he finds the avatar of Vishnu, who in Bhagavatam, not in Devi Bhagavatam, in Vishnu Purana and other things, this comes, who was the king who did the first Vedic sacrifice. There are different versions, but most of it agree on it was a Chera king or a Dravida prince in some versions. Some versions it's clearly said it's the Chera prince who becomes Manu, who writes the Manusmriti later, who is handed over the Chaturvarna system, which he comes back with the Vedic sacrifice, and this creates schism in the Kumari Kandam. Now already one civil war is happening, another side there is a new ideology is coming into the society of Kumari Kandam. It is at this time that the Asuras, after the cosmic war under the leadership of Nakta, lands in this Indian mainland and decides to attack it. So it is a mix of both Sanskrit Puranas and Tamil Puranas with a lot of imagination. So I am not just translating any of these Puranas and just drawing inspiration from them, but linking and putting the missing links. So the Sanskrit Purana starts with Matsya Avatar. When the continent of Kumari Kandam sinks in the war, Manu lives with the people who will follow the Vedic system, and he is taken, this Matsya leads him to the mouth of Saraswati, to Meru as per some versions, but the mouth of Saraswati as per other versions. And on the side of Saraswati, the Vedic civilization flourishes. So what happens to the people who are left behind? When the continent sinks, these people under the leadership of Meenakshi, that is Madurai Meenakshi, and Shiva, they are brought to the present day, what we call as India, the Jambudvipa. Where they land is the Virgin Kumari or Kanya Kumari, the new Kumari. And the second Sangam starts from there, and the new Madurai is made. So again, you go back to the Sangam literature, new Madurai is made, and Shiva presides the next Sangam, and the Tamil language, grammar, and other things are born. So this is a mix of both folklore, temple legends, folklore, local legends, Tamil Puranas and Sanskrit Puranas, generously drawn from Sangam literature and then married with flight of imagination. So basically, as you saw in the trailer, I am making these three people, Brahma, Vishnu and Mahesh, Brahma, Vishnu and Shiva, they are in Satyaloka. So again the question came, why is only one loka called Satyaloka? That's only the true world. The rest all are simulations. You see, it's just a flight of imagination again. So they enter the game they have created whenever a glitch comes, and that is why they are sometimes celebrated as gods because they are the creators. But what if we are all living in a simulation and these are just the game developers and Vishnu is the one who maintains the game? With that, so these are basics of the story, but a lot of interviews, characterizations, plots, the entire story world buildings, other characters, and this is just the beginning. We'll go to the other worlds, all the 14 worlds to the nether world, upper world, and all as it progresses. The idea is to create a highly visual spectacle which can become a global film. So already talks are on. So already people are inside. It will come sooner than we think. That's what I hope.
Now, I would like to ask you, what do you hope the reader carries with themselves after reading this book?
I think what we have slowly lost is the emotion of awe, the emotion of wonder, the emotion of curiosity. Fiction serves many purposes. One of the greatest purposes of fiction is to create empathy in human beings, to create, to know the other people's story, to live in other people's story. That all fiction does. I hope my fiction also will do that. But what essentially I want is, I want people to go beyond just Googling it, because we don't hold the curiosity anymore now. The moment anything is there, you immediately ask Perplexity or immediately you ask Gemini what it is. There is no space for curiosity. So I am creating what is not available so that there is a sense of awe and there is a sense of just when you, I don't want big things to happen. I'm not thinking that by my writing I'm going to change the world. But at least if you read, after reading all these things, if there is a doubt in your mind, what if this is true? I have succeeded. If you feel an awe when you stand out in the night, especially in Kerala, it is possible where I am living and all, you won't see the sky, it's all smoke. But you get out, you stand in the beach and look at the sky. There is an app called Skyview. There are a few apps. I use a lot of technology, that's what I'm saying. Just use that and see, just to identify the stars for the layman. And suddenly you find that the light which is coming, that started when Chandragupta Vikramaditya was ruling or Maurya was ruling. Some of the stars, they started when dinosaurs were, the light from there, it is taking so much time. The dinosaurs were ruling. What if there are worlds beyond that? What if we are not alone in this vast universe? That awe, if I am able to rekindle that awe, this is there inherent in every human being. When you read a good science fiction, I don't know whether it's good or not, it's for the readers to decide. But when you read a good science fiction, it is talking about the possibilities, and it is where the human, usually all the great inventions followed great science fiction. And India doesn't have much of science fiction written by Indians. Few are there, good ones are there, but not many are there. So I have been reinterpreting the mythology in a historical way, taking out all the magic out of it. So almost after 17 books, I thought I have given enough rationality. But only with rationality, human beings won't survive. You need a lot of imagination. If my writing has suppressed the imagination, then it is time to rekindle it. But I don't want to rekindle it through something like blind devotion. The devotion had its place. The Bhakti literature has its place. But I think now we have passed that. The Bhakti literature in India, which had actually put the plug on the rational thinking, had happened at one juncture of society when the society had already started going rotten. So bhakti literature was required to remind the people that already the society was ridden with caste, patriarchy and other things. Bhakti was a release through that because you don't need any priest for bhakti. So it had its place. But what happened is too much of bhakti, andha bhakti of anything is a problem. Andha bhaktis are a problem in any era. So we had to go, what is the fundamental of any Indian thought? Any Indian thought, right from the Vedas, they are not commandments, they are debate. All until perhaps up to the advent of Bhakti era, most of the people used to question, and that's why they are called darshanas and not religion. They are all darshana, not even mata, but darshana. Madam is, in Malayalam what we call madam, is your opinion. Dharma has a much more layered meaning. But actually all these schools of thoughts were called darshanas because that is a way of looking at life. There is no right or wrong. Your way of looking at life need not be mine and all paths are valid. That's why even atheism had a great space in the Indian school of thought. Slowly we lost it out because the society had other problems. Some cure was given, but too much of a cure, what happens? You start believing in anything and everything, especially in this era of WhatsApp graduates and WhatsApp PhD holders. Anything and everything is believed. So it is to take you back to the era of Buddha, take you back to the era of Charvaka, take you back to the era of all the rishis who said that don't believe in anything just because it is written, including Krishna, I may say, because that's what Krishna says after the Bhagavad Gita. Don't believe in anything, this is Buddha's word I am quoting, just because I in the sense Buddha has said it, or any old masters have said it, or it is written in some books. Don't believe it even if your father or mother has told it. Believe it only through your anubhava or your experience, because your experience is only the truth. So believe in that. Gita also same thing. Krishna tells to Arjuna. It can be told in different tones, but I will take the positive tone only, that the greatest of knowledge I have given to you, the most secret of knowledge I have given to you. Now use your rationality to arrive at your truth. This is something which we lost. So the idea of rekindling the curiosity, the awe, and the possibilities is not to bring back the superstitions or to tie people into the irrationality of blind devotion and to become the slaves of religion, but rather to open up the thoughts and to accept what is good in the past and reject what has become redundant for the present day times. So the dharma's purpose itself is that as per the time, as per the place, as per the era, the definition of dharma also changes. And in no society can work without the leg of dharma. But what is that dharma? I'm not telling it in a narrow sense of any religion or caste or culture, but what is that human dharma? That empathy, the kindness, that cannot change, that is immutable. Along with that, curiosity, awe, and the humility which creates when you just look at the sky, when you just look at the ocean, if that a literature can give, then I think the writer has succeeded in whatever he or she has set to do. Thank you.
Now, as the universe continues to grow, what excites you more about Devi series, or where is it headed to?
I think there are a lot of, as I said, there are 14 lokas. I can use these characters from there. Since I don't have the shackles of devotion, I can use them the way, like, see, how did Marvel succeed? I will also tell you a personal story. I have written so many books. None of my kids, I have two kids, boy and a girl. They hear my story because to be polite, but they don't read. They don't read and they don't watch. Perhaps Bahubali is one thing which I succeeded to make them watch. Usually they are very enticed. This will be the truth with many of the kids, the Gen Z or whatever, what is the next, I don't know. That Alpha, Gen Alpha generation is looking at. They are enticed about the mythology which comes from the West because they had packaged it well. Here we are sitting on 100 times more of mythology because this is one place where it is a living civilization. Whatever we say, what happened is many of the classical civilizations died out and were sucked in by the great 2 or 3 religions which came from the Middle East. So, whatever was there before, in the Middle East, in Saudi Arabia and other places, when the Islam came, it assimilated the entire thing into it and suppressed a lot of other things. The same happened to when Christianity went to Europe. So the Greek mythology stopped growing, the Nordic mythology stopped growing. So they are stuck at 2000 years ago. Whereas this is, if you take the map and see, in the entire world, this is one of the few civilizations which continue to grow. For good or bad, that is a different debate. But it continues to live, continues to grow, continues to reinterpret, continues to rewrite the stories again and again. And this has given a huge corpus of stories. So last year I was discussing about my previous book, Many Ramayanas, Many Lessons. So originally I had done it as a audio drama during COVID times, which was all the folk Ramayanas which I heard about. I had taken it and told it in a story format. It was well received across the world. That was a 5 years of, it was actually 20-30 years of work, but it happened 5-6 years ago. Then Harper wanted it as a book. By the time in that 5 years, I encountered another few hundreds of Ramayanas. Because Ramayana is continuously growing. And then, that's what I mean to say, it's not a dead epic. Then that book was published last year. In this 1 year, I have encountered more Ramayanas than whatever I have written in that. And every time it surprises me. I recently encountered a Ramayana in which Sita doesn't go with Ram. And when Ram comes back, Sita is asking for an Agnivariksha from Ram. And this is not a new tale, it's a very old tale. Agnivariksha from Rama, not exactly Agnivariksha, she says that, I don't know, you were away, I don't know which all women you had. And how will I accept you? And Ram takes a oath on his father saying that you are my only wife. So that, and Lakshmana vouches for it. Chetam parnja sheriyanennu Lakshmana vouches for it. And then only Sita opens the door. So there are so many, I'm not saying this is the Ramayana or this is to humiliate or insult somebody. We should, it is about how each society has turned Ramayana on its own. Similarly, same is the case with Mahabharata. Mahabharata is infinite. It's much more than Ramayana. There are totally entire versions of Ramayana, and so is Puranas. So we have a huge corpus of literature, not just the 18 Puranas, they are just skimming the surface, because all the 18 Puranas have hundreds of versions. There are 108 Upapuranas. There are Sthala Puranas. Then you have folk tale. Then you have folk tales in languages, at least real classical languages, we have at least 8 of them, including Malayalam. All of them have around 1,500 to 3,000 years of history. They have a huge corpus of folklores. Then you have the entire Buddhist Purana world, which we don't talk about much. And the Jaina Puranas are much bigger than the all Hindu Puranas put together. So there is another world of Jaina Puranas. Then there are lost texts like Brihat Kada, of which some part is Kadasarit Saga, from which a lot of Arabian tales were taken, because stories travel. So you have a huge, huge corpus, and even during the Mughal rule, there were Indo-Persian epics which we have forgotten now, but which was popular across the world. That is another world of magic and illusions and fantasy and all. So we are sitting on a gold mine and just consuming what the Hollywood is giving us. We are not thinking big enough. We are not being Asuras big enough. So all my writing stems from that ambition that we have to, maybe it may not happen in my lifetime, but hopefully with AI and all. I myself am working in at least 3 films based on AI and other things as of now, in Hindi and other languages. But hopefully, maybe it is me or maybe it is some other writer who will get inspired. We will take over the world as far as storytelling is concerned. We may become Vishwaguru or not in other cases. In storytelling, we are going to be the Vishwaguru. It's for sure. Only thing, it's just a trigger we need. It is slowly it is happening. Bahubali was the beginning. Kantara happened. Don't worry about, I know I am an avid fan of Malayalam film, but one grouse I have with Malayalam film is that Malayalam is not thinking big enough. Malayalam films are very rooted. It has a heart in it. It's fantastic film. But we are yet to produce a film which will go global and which will be talked about. We need all kind of films. We need the very art kind of films. We need the middle of the path films like what we are making now. Entertainers. We need huge films which sparkles the imagination. It changes the society. See how the West had done the narration of it. The West used, they don't have, the America doesn't have its own mythology. Whatever mythology it has, it cannot use because it is the Red Indian or the American Indian mythology. It won't connect with the whites. So what they did, they used the Greek mythology and they did a story building to create a sense that we are superior. And believe me or not, this is one of the Asura rules. As long as you believe you are superior and you are great, you will continue to be that. The moment the self-doubt enters, the empires collapse. Britain for 200 years believed that they are born to rule and they ruled. These parallels you can find anywhere. America may be stupid. An average American's general knowledge about anything outside, they are the people who will call two clubs and call it World Cup. Right, that is their world knowledge. And the best American is the president now. The most intelligent American. But what makes them great is that they think they are great. We are still in a feeling of inferiority. Exactly. This is the future. This is the future. See the confidence level. See. So I have no doubt about that. So this is the beginning of those kind of world building. So the idea is to create great story worlds and show something spectacular so that the generations like this will decide that yes, we deserve it and not the slumdog millionaires. This positivity needs to be there. So even when my books continue to have social criticism and as a mirror which shows the society, I always try to end it everything with a high positive note. So in the Asura, the book which I wrote long ago, 14 years ago, the last paragraph is that who wants moksha? Who wants to become one with the nothingness? I want to be a human. And I want to come back to this beautiful world again and again and again. To be with these plants and flowers and the mountains and the rivers and the seas and the oceans. I want to be a human again and again. And who knows, in one of those comings, the dream of the humans, that the dream, the classical dream of that drives the entire civilization of Kerala, the dreams of the Mahabali, that everyone will have enough and everyone will be equal. The classical socialist dream, amidst which will be achieved through the capitalism, that will come true one day. Even an Asura, which is a dark book, ends with a positive note. So this book also is just the beginning of something big, or at least that is my ambition. Maybe I'm just lighting a small matchbox. Let it become a wildfire and let it take over the world. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. So now I think the session is now open for discussion.
And the question need not be restricted to my present book. It can be about other books also.
Hi. I would like to know how is your journey from Asura to Mahishasura? Can you describe briefly your journey? And one more thing, what is the amount of rationality that you bring to your books?
My journey was actually it is just pure ambition and greed which drove my journey. I was totally discontented. Briefly, I will tell. I had achieved all the middle class average Malayali dream by the age of 30. So the biggest, one of the words in Asura is, these are all come from my heart. The biggest tragedy any human can face in his life, in her life or his life, is to achieve your dreams. The moment you achieve the dreams, that's the end of your life. Because you are not dreamt big enough. So I was so bored with my life. I was working with Indian Oil Corporation. So whatever my parents said, whether I liked it or not, I studied engineering even though I hate maths. Because alternate was to become a doctor, which I hate more. Because I even though I write all war films, Bahubali, blah, blah, I faint if I see blood. So that is the courage I have. So I did engineering, failed many times, passed somehow, got a job, got married, fell in love, got married, had 2 kids, bought my house, bought my car, and what next? From that tragedy, the life started. So then I started somehow to escape the corporate cubicle, the corporate slavery, the power, the tyranny of PowerPoint. The PowerPoint present. So I have detailed it in my Asura Marga, Asura way. So after that, I wrote Asura, and the first line I wrote before writing Asura was, this book will sell 10 lakh copies. I still regret that words now, still regret. Because I achieved it in the eighth year of the book in 40 languages. I should have written 10 crores, I would have been richer now. I didn't do that because again it comes from the Malayali psyche of Cheriya Veedu, Cheriya Joli. Sugana no ingane tatti mutti monu. You ask Yusuf Ali sir also, he will also perhaps say the same thing. How are you? I'm just managing, sir. What else? That you ask it to any Hindi wala or Tamilian or somebody, no, they will say, "Kaise? Badhiya hai sir, badhiya ho sir." South American sir. What Malayalis say? Ena ponu, tatti mutti ponu. So that had created a thing. But once I did Asura, then it was actually like I had to think, and it used to happen. So even now I am thinking that I will take over the world, and I'm sure it will happen one day. I thought that I will go into television, and after Asura, it was read by a few people I was very lucky. Only 500 copies were printed. But the 500, since we didn't have distribution, a small publisher had printed it. He had kept everything in one place. In Mumbai, one crossword store. So somebody coming here, they saw 500 copies of one book. People thought this is some great author's great book. So all the 500 got sold away. It's just luck, you can call it, or just what you call manifestation. The people who picked up this 500 had actor Nagarjuna, Rajamouli sir, a few of them. So what happened? Calls started coming, asking me to write television shows. So I wrote Siya Ke Ram, which became a hit. And that also, again, accident. It's like some Panchatantra story. Because when the producer called, I had no clue about what is the money being paid for television series. So I calculated my Indian Oil salary and divided it into 30 days, and per day I need only this much. And immediately the contract came because they had never seen such an idiotic writer who charges so less. So without any effort, I don't have the story of Shah Rukh Khan and all who go to Bollywood and who had slept for many years under the bridge. I came in parachute because of my stupidity. And then after 3 days, the Writers Guild people call and fire me saying that Karingali pani edukirudhu. You are making our livelihood miserable because which idiot writes for such less amount? So then I went and negotiated and I got the rate. So I also got the rate, I also got the show, and the show was a hit. And after that I wrote around 1,600 episodes of television, 15 shows now. From shows, films came. So Rajamouli sir called and the entire Bahubali thing happened. So once Bahubali happened, other films, now with Rakesh Omprashmara, Karna, I have written the screenplay. With Rohit Shetty, in Diwali, another film is coming. So the journey has been fantastic. Then I wrote audio shows, stage shows. It's all just Asura dreaming. I can't say I worked hard or I am so talented. That is what. Talent is so overrated. If you walk here, I am sure there are hundreds of people who are talented. Mostly it is the limitation of thought. Because I didn't know Hindi, but I wrote Hindi series. I will tomorrow write Russian series. I don't care because it is just, I didn't study screenplay. But I have written more screenplays than most people now. Because what it is, you just attempt it. No, because I have nothing to lose in the sense that you just write whatever you want. If they like it, they will give some money. Otherwise, it's okay. I just take it as a profession. So I resigned my job. Now, mostly I spend my time in Wayanad. and go to Bombay whenever it is required. But basically it is this, I don't take myself seriously. It is for me like any other profession. I was a Indian Oils manager some time back. Before that, I was a door-to-door salesman. For me, all professions are same. I don't think I am doing some divine job. There is nothing divinity associated with anything except what you think from your heart. I write from my heart. If I get money, I'm happy. If I don't get money, I don't write. Thank you.
Hello, sir. I have this question in my mind, which is in my mind for over a very long time. So you always tend to bring out the perspectives of silenced, marginalized, or the perspectives that are largely unknown. And you just now talked about the cyclical nature of time. So I just have this question in my mind that in this 21st century, the revisionist mythologies or retellings are widely received by all the audience. And the stories or narratives from Asura to Valmiki's women, the narratives you bring out were once archived in self. So these archived stories are now being articulated very actively. So in another half a century, won't these come to the mainstream, and the mainstream epics, can they be archived? So what do you think about the role of these narratives in the alteration of collective remembrance and memory of the society about the epics?
I had answered it in my earlier question itself. This has been written and rewritten for thousands of years. You imagine anything about Ramayana, any absurd plot you imagine, there is one Ramayana for it. There are Ramayanas where Hanuman has multiple wives. What could shock people more? The Godfather, Malayalam film Godfather's plot will fail. Isn't it? The innocent is praying to Anjaneya Swami because he is Brahmachari. There are, I'm not saying it is correct or not, but there are Ramayanas where Hanuman is like James Bond, where he has lot of lovers. There are Ramayanas where there is Rasa Leela of Rama. Can you imagine it? So this has been written and rewritten for thousands of years, and that's the strength of this book. Why? Because there is no centralized, or at least there used to be no censorship or centralized church in the Indian civilization. So whatever is required for that place and that audience, the story keepers used to tell. The idea is, as I said, the dharma of any story is to show some truth. That's why fiction is more important than non-fiction. I also write non-fiction, but fiction illuminates the truth, which no non-fiction reportage history cannot. And how fiction does it? By writing and rewriting it again and again. So this also will form a part of the corpus of the vast Ramayana or Mahabharata literature. That's all it is going to happen. Thank you.
So something which caught my mind is about, which you mentioned about the Western civilization, like how their mythologies, the way of their storytelling already eclipsed ours. And I think, or do you agree the fact that it is mainly because that the storytellers here, or maybe the movie makers here, don't aspire enough, or is it because that they are not courageous enough to take the big leap? Why did we lose that courage? Like if we look at the past, like 5,000 or 6,000 years ago, at the time of epics, we don't see a dearth of courageous people, but now you see a lot of people like low risk, low reward, things like that. So why is it? Why did it come to like this?
I don't think we lack courageous people. And it is not courageous people. We don't have enough foolish people. I am one of the foolish people who dared to write it. Nobody with some sense will go and write from Ravan's point of view, right? If you are, it is a stupidity actually. But most of the civilizations go because of there are stupid fools who take it forward. And who said we are not doing it? The problem is we are not thinking big enough. But it will change slowly, slowly. As I said, no, from Bahubali started. We could have hundreds of opinion about how it could have been done better. There is no scientist or expert better than a Malayali who will always do a postmortem after things, somebody has done some things, how well it could have been done. So that is of course always there. And that is also good quality, provided you go and do it. Do something better, not just be an armchair critic. But it has already started. Most of them will be failed attempts. But I am sure in the next 5 years, at least 1 or 2 will hit the mark. You have to keep throwing things. One is, keep throwing. That's all.
Thank you so much. So what he says is that these texts are not just to consume and set aside, but to continually revisit, reconsider, and also to contest for. So thank you so much, for the session, and thank you, everyone.
Thank you very much. I will be available for signing.